Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to this most special Joe 90 party. We are launching the Technical Operations Manual here this evening, and we are very happy to have you joining us. We got a little bit of music to get us started, and I am going to introduce our guests for tonight's stream. First, we have the co-author of the Joe 90 Technical Operations Manual, Mr. Chris Thompson.
Woo!
Hello, sir.
Hello, how's it going?
The party has started. Wow, I love the lighting going on in there. That's fantastic.
How you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. And of course, joining us as well is AC. Wow, he's got the moves. He's got the specs. He's ready to go.
Oh no,
welcome,
I'm the only one not with
everyone.
spectacles.
Oh well, you're not truly a Joe 90 fan without your Joe 90 specs.
It's funny
that's for
because
sure.
like the last couple of minutes during the warm-up, I was looking at AC being like, what's different about AC?
I wonder what it could be.
Possibly could be different about AC.
Okay. Just a reminder, if you are watching us on Facebook, you need to go to streamyard.com/Facebook so that we can see who you are rather than just being an anonymous Facebook user. Everybody, please post your comments. Let us know where you are watching from this evening, and let us know whether you have received your copy yet of the Joe 90 manual. Ooh, AC has his. Chris, I believe you have yours as well. Unfortunately, mine hasn't made it to the US yet, but obviously I know what's inside because I co-wrote the darn thing, so I should know.
Yeah, we should know.
We should know what's in there.
We're voting for what's coming later. We probably should know what's in here.
Yes, that would be very helpful indeed, absolutely. Just in case you haven't gotten... In case you don't know what we're talking about at all, if you've got no idea, this is the book that we are launching this evening. It is the Project 90 Technical Operations Manual, which is the third in the series of operation manuals that have been produced from the Gerry Anderson store, all with beautiful illustrations from Mr. Chris Thompson inside. So first up was Space 1999, then UFO, and now Joe 90 as well. Chris and AC worked together on Space 1999 and UFO, and then I came along, nudged AC out of the way, and decided I wanted to have a go at writing one of these, so I came along and joined as well. So, and what we also have, it's worth saying, is at the very end of this stream, we will be teasing what the next manual is going to be. These guys know what it is, but we're
You also know what
wait.
it is, Jack.
I do know what it is, but you guys really know what it is. This is another Chris and AC collaboration. So
this is what
it's
AC's
gonna
been doing while we've been busy on this one, so...
Exactly. We've been kind of working smarter, not harder, by kind of dividing and conquering the work. So
Working neither smart or hard.
Exactly. It's going to be very exciting, so please stay tuned for that announcement. I am going to also just start off by sharing a few images from various fans who have already received their copies of the technical manual. So we have Roger M. Smith here. Received his the other day, and also Space Patrol Blu-ray, also from the Gerry Anderson store.
And some lovely Christmas cards, I see.
Yeah, and a few other lovely things as well, exactly. Yeah. Jonathan Westall here has his Technical Operations Manual ready, as does Peach and Kevin Gunther, and... well, Mr. Chris Thompson also got his as well. I don't know how that image made it in there. As well as, Chris, you took this lovely photo of all three manuals kind of lined up together. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel pretty good. So shout out to Marcus from Amazing 15 who does all our design work for us. Like I basically put the images and the text together as does AC, and then we send it off to Marcus, and it comes back looking like this. And I remember at the start, sort of whenever we got the Space 1999 cover, I really liked it because it was iconic, but there was other elements where I was like, is this going to work if we have a second one? And actually seeing all three books side by side, they look so good because they have all their unique branding and all the right fonts and stuff like that, but they look like a set. And it's just so satisfying having all three of them in a row. Or at the end of the year, 4. But yes.
They do look excellent. Everybody is hoping for their favourite show to become a manual. Lavender Castle, Space Precinct. I've seen Thunderbirds, I've seen Scarlet. I don't think I've seen anyone actually guess correctly yet what the next one is, if that's not giving too much away to everybody. So, I want to just touch a little bit more on... I'm going to try and get rid of these images. Excuse everyone. This is my first time operating the stream. Normally, someone like Jamie or David Monday is here to handle the technical stuff, and they know what they're doing. But this is a party, so we're kind of winging it. So, I'm kidding. It's all very well planned out. I want to talk about... And nothing can possibly go wrong. I want to talk about what we've got coming up on this stream. So we're going to obviously talk to you a little bit more about the technical manual and kind of where it's at and, just what people have got to look forward to. Then we're going to just dive in a little bit about just some of the behind the scenes that goes into making these manuals possible because, the three of us have all worked on these now for some time. And it's... As well as us three, there are, as Chris mentioned, other people behind the scenes who do a lot of work to bring these products to life. So it's well worth mentioning them. Then we are going to have a little quiz. It's going to be Chris versus AC for my very special brained up Joe 90 quiz. Testing our guests' knowledge all about the series. And I'm sure everybody in the comments is going to have fun playing along as well. So looking forward to that. Then we're going to take a little commercial break. We are going to show off some of the Joe 90 TV adverts and other little film clips, little bits from the archive that are really good fun and that we've want to just put on show today. Then after that, we're going to take a really good deep dive into the manual itself. We're going to go through the contents of the book. We are going to, really kind of go into it. So that's where your spoilers are going to be if you are wanting to avoid, seeing the inside of the book. We are going to go into quite a bit of detail about that. So look forward to it. And then after that, we've got...
So I'm just saying thank you for the vote of confidence. Anonymous Facebook user.
Well, thank you so much.
I love how, you think AC's going to win even though Chris has just written a book all about Joe 90.
Oh no, AC's got a photographic memory.
That is true. Alrighty, and then just towards the end of the stream, we are going to play another game called Spin the Big Rat, and we'll reveal what that is towards the end. And then, after all of that fun and games, after that whole party, we are going to play. We're gonna show you a little teaser of the next manual, just as we say our farewells for the evening. So look forward to that. All right, gentlemen, are we ready to just talk a bit more about the book itself? So let me find all my banners. So just to let everyone know the status of shipping, and this has all kind of happened really, really quickly. Chris and I, get the information about where's the book at in production, because, once we've obviously done our part of designing and illustrating and writing everything, it's off out into production. And then on Monday, everything arrived at the warehouse very suddenly. And then it just shipped out immediately. As soon as it arrived at the Anderson warehouse, it was straight back out the door again to everyone who had pre-ordered the book, which is great. That's really it's amazing how fast that service is. It really, really is quick. So I would encourage everyone to get their hands on this lovely book as soon as possible, because I'm sure Chris and I are obviously very hopeful that there will be a second print run. That would be very nice. But in case there isn't, because it's not always certain, probably a good idea to get your hands on a copy now before it sells out, because the special edition that sold out very, very quickly. Chris, when exactly did the special edition sell out?
An hour and a half.
An hour and a half after pre-orders launched, the special edition sold out.
It's quite funny because I think it took the Space 1999 one. We made 330 something or something like that. It was the same as the amount of people who were in alpha.
Yeah, 309, 310, something like that.
Yeah, and it sold out in a day, or just under a day. The UFO one we did about 350, I think, and again it was less than a day. The Joe 90 one sold out in an hour, which obviously there's less of them, but it's a surprising vote of confidence for Joe 90, which we never would have thought of kind of going into this.
Yeah. We have to listen to Jamie Anderson all day telling us how much he doesn't enjoy Joe 90 while we're trying to fight for justice and tell him no, we really like Joe 90, so please do let us do this. And of course he's a lovely person, so he let us do it and has been very supportive of us, we should say that, and maybe has even come around a tiny bit towards Joe over the course of this. So so as far as the special edition is concerned, that isn't shipping yet because it's still in production. There was I think something needed to be either reprinted or was missing, so it needed to be printed. So it obviously needs to get into the warehouse and be assembled and then sent out. So it might be a few weeks behind this one, but fingers crossed not too long, because I'm quite excited for it myself. Yeah, I definitely am looking forward to seeing all of that. The Joe 90 badge that comes with that, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that in real life. So that's going to be very exciting when that does eventually show up. I appreciate everyone's patience who did order the special edition, but don't worry, it is in production and it is coming soon.
The loaded gun and the radio comes later.
Oh,
but you do get a badge, and that's the most important thing.
You do get a badge. It's very important that you get a badge. So as far as we've talked a little bit about the production process that goes into these books, but obviously, AC, for you on working on the previous editions of Space 1999 and UFO, what has that process been like of contributing to these books, and just how does it all happen for people who don't know?
It usually happens with getting a message or phone call from Chris saying, AC, technical manual, you in? And I say, yes, I'd love to do that. And then I think, I haven't watched Series X for a while, I'll go back and revisit that. So it's really, in some cases, especially with Space 1999, not having seen it for a while when I started work on it, I think I rewatched pretty much all of season 1, some episodes from season 2, or year 1 and year 2, as some people call them, refamiliarizing myself with it, and then really sort of digging into the kind of concepts that we wanted to explore, because as people who have the manuals may already know, it usually breaks down into things like vehicles, layouts of the various bases and headquarters, and character biographies and so forth, things like that. And then we would occasionally dive into other things, new areas, which I believe you guys will maybe talk about later on in the stream. And it's really keeping things within a nice framework, not stepping too far outside that. We don't want to be breaking canon with any of this. It's all very much an in-universe production, and everything has to fall within that. And while we can push it a little bit with some new concepts, it's nice to be able to look and say, this series was amazing. All we want to do is take everything that was great about this series and put it all together so that people can enjoy it. And I've seen so many people who will pick up one of these books and say, oh, I remember that show, and dive into it and then suddenly think, I really want to rewatch that show again. So it's nice because you're sort of inspiring people to get back into it again who maybe haven't seen it for a while. But as far as the process goes, it's rewatch the series, nail down exactly what sort of information we want to come across, put it together as succinctly as possible. And I think that for UFO and Space 1999, I maybe did about what I would consider to be the right amount. I may have gone slightly overboard for the forthcoming book, as yet unrevealed. And Chris has maybe told me that I need to scale it back a little bit, as I think I might have written the equivalent of a dissertation on it rather than. Well, would you agree with that? Would you say that's about fair, Chris?
So there's a fun thing of like whenever the chapters that I'm writing, I can be like, right, I know exactly what I'm going to be modeling for this, and I know exactly my the level of area of where I'm comfortable with and things like that. To give this book an example, when Jack writes Benelita base illustration, inverted brackets, goes here, suddenly it becomes a lot more difficult.
Yeah. This is the beauty of, I think both myself and AC get to just sort of say, Chris, go away and illustrate this, not realizing really how much work is involved with doing that. So,
Chris, what does the inside of the UFO look like? Yeah, just do that. That's not going to be controversial at all.
Yeah, it's like, it's going to look like something, just make something up. But keep it canon.
Yeah, exactly. We love to make Chris's life very, very difficult.
We salute you, sir.
He always rises to the challenge, though, and that must be like quite satisfying for you, Chris, I imagine, to kind of get to the end of doing one of these books and look at all of those illustrations and go, I figured out all of that stuff. Tell us how that kind of feels and
it's like
just what that approach is.
It's like climbing a mountain. Like you submit all this stuff in the end, and like you've got to the top of Kilimanjaro, and you're like, "That's really cool." And then you've got to walk back down Kilimanjaro, which is the proofing stage, the advertising stage, everything else. Like it's really, I guess, kind of like Gerry himself. There's an element of book comes through in the mail. I get to be like, "Damn, that's hefty. I could kill someone with that," and then. Just sort of put it down and start working on the next one. I'm getting pretty good. These two manuals have been a very close amount of time between them, but I'm pretty good at taking a break in the latter half of the year and relaxing a little bit because it is. I think the space
relaxing. What?
The meaning of the word.
We started on probably the worst one because like the Space 1999 book is like over 280 pages long, so. Yeah, and that was done within a year, which is a bit insane. So UFO was quite tricky because then that was after COVID and I was obliged to have a social life, which got in the way of everything. But Joe 90 was actually surprisingly pretty chill. The interesting thing actually about Joe 90 is so for Space 1999 and for Space 1999 we had both the Bible to a degree. We had a bazillion amount of references, thanks to the Eagle community, and just loads of help all around. We had like obviously David Hirsch and Paxton Young and all that. And for UFO, there's no behind the scenes, like no Bible or anything there, but we have all the reference. For Joe 90, we have a really stacked Bible with so much information that never made it onto the show, and then almost no reference of anything. Like the ITV image archive for Joe 90 isn't that full. So a lot of it is done from just by kind of watching the show and doing our best. The most interesting example of it is actually the U-85 submarine. I'll see if I can, because it's in your section, Jack, as a sort of an addendum.
Yes.
I didn't feel confident enough doing a full 4-page section on it because you only ever see half of it, like the side profile in the entire episode. You never get a front profile. So
Yeah.
I've had to extrapolate what the thing would look like from the front. And usually there's like a lovely piece of Mike Trim concept art where he does a nice side profile and then some other stuff. But this was literally looking at a blurry U-85 through a fish tank, hoping for the best.
Yeah. I want to get your opinion on Watson's question here about how often are you asked to make something up but keep it canon?
Here and that, like, it's not. I don't think it's that difficult. Mainly because these they're not necessarily, they're well thought out to a degree that like the internal logic works. Like, there's nothing canon breaking in them already, so it's pretty easy to connect the dots between two things, and make it canon. And other stuff, like for instance, like Big Finish and whatnot. I have a little bit more freedom, like if it's a Doctor Who thing, obviously, but I think particularly on the Space 1999 range, Steve from Big Finish has wanted me to put the dinky green eagle in for ages. So if you look hard at the Dragon's Domain trailer, there is one in there.
Wow.
Am I right in saying
that's a niche reference?
Am I right in saying that there's also a Joe 90 reference in one of the Doctor Who trailers? With the
there's a few. Whenever it comes to like, I think if you look at the Artist at the End of Time trailer, you will see the A14 like sort of a derelict in the background, which in itself is a reference because obviously a lot of the Third Doctor era, they bought a whole pile of stuff from the Anderson catalog, so that's why the F116 turns up in Colony of Space, the submarine turns up in what's the episode AC before Planet of the Daleks?
That's Frontier in Space, isn't
Frontier in Space. And obviously the jetpack and obviously the sonic screwdrivers from Thunderbirds Are Go. So sneaking a little thing from Joe 90 in there was kind of harmless, really. But yeah, no, it's fun to do that kind of thing while hopefully not getting people sued.
Exactly. Willow very kindly says there's always about 20 illustrations from the books that she always wants on her wall. Are we ever going to get posters available of some of the artwork that's featured in here? Now, I know posters do come with the special editions.
Yes, so I pulled out a couple of illustrations which I kind of made into like little prints. Honestly, it's I guess it's worth asking Jamie. Like, we could do a little poll and stuff like that and do a little set of a bunch of an illustration pack from the 4 manuals or whichever, but hopefully one day, like, I think there's at least 100, there's definitely over 100 illustrations in the Joe 90 book. There's almost 250 in the Space 1999 one. There's hopefully, like, whenever you go back and look at your art, you see all the mistakes and stuff like that, but there's a couple I'm exceedingly proud of. So you never know. I'll ask Jamie.
yes, he has the deciding vote, I'm sure. Yeah, so just kind of talking a little bit about like the making of the Joe 90 manual specifically. This was obviously my first one that I kind of came in and contributed to in a big way, and that I mean I have to say, Chris, you made it as easy for me as possible. You basically came to me with a breakdown of all the pages you wanted and were like, Jack, I want you to do this, and I'll do this. And that's how the work was split up, and I was like, that's great, that's fantastic. And as AC was saying, you go back, you watch the series, you try and pull out sort of little bits of information that maybe you didn't see before, and try and knit it all together and talk about sort of the wider world of Joe 90, because it is incredibly richly detailed. So pulling all of that together is just a case of watching the show and just taking some time to think and consider what could go together. So then once I kind of submitted all of my material, then it was up to Chris to kind of illustrate all of that, as well as do all of his own sections as well. So very much after that, it's Chris's little baby to kind of put together all the rest of the illustrations, all the mad requests that I asked for to go in my sections. Chris has to work on those, such as the Benelita base layout that he referenced earlier, which apparently was very difficult to put together, and we're very grateful that you did that. So then, once you and I have kind of basically checked off everything on the list that we're done and we're happy with, Chris, what kind of happens after that?
It's literally it's a case of we send it. Well, basically, we have an editor on this one. It's Steph Briggs, who we are eternally thankful for, who goes through everything, checks with the spelling. It gets sent off to Marcus, who assembles it. We usually have a meeting quite early on about what the book's going to look like, and in this instance, I wanted it to look older. Like Joe 90 set roughly about 2013. And we've really gone for a much more scatter kind of effect. Like, I like the way there is this element of it kind of looks like a bit more like a school textbook in some ways, but not necessarily deliberately. Like, it's a nice piece of 70s graphic design in many ways, and particularly for your section, Jack, we opted for I wanted it to look like a file that had been thrown together. So you've got like the brain pattern card here. You've got all these like little illustrate like mini microdot film bits and pieces. You've obviously got Langallo Castle in there, and all this information mixed in with the sort of the background information that Jack's come up with. So yeah, that goes through, and then the book comes back, and then it's sort of we bounce it around each other, sort of do another checklist, find out I've spelt Sam Louvre wrong on every single page and have to go back and get it. That sort of thing.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, I really shouldn't be writing books. No.
Well, the good thing is that it is such a kind of team effort that we all kind of help and support each other through all of that stuff. Just lots of really good, talented people working behind the scenes on it. So, it's just a really fun process to work on these. I consider myself very lucky that I get to do them.
I just want to answer Jeffrey Page's question. It's not that I don't like them. It's just it's not necessarily my wheelhouse, if that makes any sense. So one of these things is that you're never going to get a better cutaway artist than Graham Bleethman. So what I try to do is do stuff that complements, for instance, his work. So I'm pretty keen. Obviously, we're going to be going through the other shows. I don't want people to throw out their old manuals. So having replicating work or like trying to sort of outdo or change that kind of thing, I don't necessarily believe in. So I've kind of got my style that would work on like a Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet manual whenever we eventually do those. I want people to still have their Haynes manuals, their like super cutaway books and things like that. And for me, that's just a way of kind of there's room for everyone. There's it celebrates obviously the original kind of cutaway work, while also I can kind of rather than having a building with a cutaway, I can do individual rooms.
Yeah,
like I hope that.
And then Jeffrey was just saying there, like he really likes your interior designs, which are definitely something that I haven't seen before. Graham Bleethman's work is familiar to all of us, and other people who've done cutaway artwork as well. But what I think is really unique about what you're able to do, Chris, is you just able to take a slice out of one of the buildings and just show us a room in a kind of just a very open and easy and very accessible way.
Well, it was that kind of.
I certainly forgive you for not doing buildings because you do a lot of other stuff as well.
Well, we do building exteriors and stuff, but I just remember, as a kid, I used to grow up with Star Trek fact files. Obviously, I'd read the Enterprise, the guide, the Mike Okuda's Guide to the Enterprise D, and the Franz Joseph old Starfleet manuals, and obviously, I'd had the old Sam and Graham's old books as well, and Chris Bentley's ones. But and I was kind of like, right, I want something like the Star Trek fact files really kind of appealed to me because it would be so much information and like they would sort of last for folders and folders and folders. And it was partly that desire to have something similar for Space 1999, and now in turn UFO and Joe 90. Like I just want to kind of go to that insane level of detail on these things, because that really does it shows off the set design a bit better, and it shows off like the vehicle design and things like that. If you can be like, here's the vehicle in its entirety, and then like here's the cockpit and the various other illustrations we do with them. So that's kind of that logic.
Love it. Yeah, no, it's great. It's fantastic to be able to go into that much detail. And the fact that because we kind of team up and you have myself and you have AC involved, like we're able to play to each other's strengths. You're very much working on the tech side of things, whereas myself and AC will focus on the episodes and the characters, and it just gives everyone the broad spectrum, if you will, of what's available in all of these shows. I feel very proud of myself for that pun.
It is
well played.
It is particularly having you both a lot like on board is really helpful to me, because like you're both really good at creative writing. Jack, your biographies for the villains are actually like a highlight of the book. Like it's a good time. And obviously AC, like the stuff you did with the aliens and UFO and that kind of stuff, the mission bios on Space 1999, like again, it helps show those things in like an interesting and different way. So very cool, guys.
We know how to work together. I'm going to embarrass us all now, just by sharing the fact that we've all known each other now for about 13 years. We first met at a 2010 convention. There we all are. And then we recreated that photo a few years ago as well. As you can see.
Can we recreate it now?
with some difficulty, I think. I'll just... Excellent.
I don't have hair.
Yes. I think we look great. I think we've, matured like fine wine. So we're delaying the inevitable, chaps. I think it might be time for a quiz. What do you think?
I think so.
Are you ready? Alrighty. Well, everybody who is watching, just a reminder, we're talking all about Joe 90 this evening, and we are talking about the Technical Operations Manual. And
just to clarify, I've not been so stressed about a quiz since my A-levels. Like whenever I do one of these books, I sort of like I live them for like a couple of months, and then as I move on to another one, all the information kind of disperses in my head. So we will see how well I do.
Yeah, all right. The excuses. But anyway, I want to make sure that everyone who's watching this stream has an opportunity to share it with their friends and everyone. If you think you've got someone who might be interested in watching, and is having a fun Friday evening with all of us at this little launch party, please feel free to share that.
Also, thank you for the lovely comments about the calendars as well, you guys.
Yes. Oh, those calendars were great fun to do as well. Yeah. Just fantastic to have all these opportunities to make new Gerry Anderson things. Who would have thought it? Anyway, we're going to get to this quiz. So, welcome everybody to Brained Up. I wish I had a really cool theme tune to go with it, but here's how this is going to work.
Just play the club notes
Chris
again.
and AC are going to be choosing categories to answer questions. There are 6 categories, so there'll be 3 categories for each of them. They will get a point for every correct answer. Everybody in the chat, I would suggest you could try and help Chris and AC. You could also try to give them some red herrings and maybe not help them out. This is your opportunity to post all of your funny suggestions for what the answers to these questions might be. So, who's going to go first? Well, which one of you two do you think has watched Joe 90 the most recently? Chris, when did you last watch Joe 90?
When did the book come out? Probably about 2 months ago.
2 months ago. AC, when did you last watch the show?
I watched The Unorthodox Shepherd at Christmas.
Okay, that's quite a while ago. All right, Chris, you're going first. You get the first choice of categories. Which of these categories would you like?
Let's go equipment.
Equipment, playing to his strengths there, that's for sure. All right, first question. Joe's automatic pistol will fire 300 times without needing to reload. Is that true or false?
That is false. It is 200 times.
That is correct. It is false, and it is indeed 200 times. Can we tell that we are really, really playing to your strengths here?
The reason I remember that is because I had to make room. I had to design a little bullet that you can kind of see at the side of the magazine, and I had to make space for 200 of them, which is why they're so small.
Very good. Very, very good. So that's a point to Chris. Next question for you, Chris. Sam Louver has an antenna concealed in his briefcase for recording brain patterns. True or false?
True, but it is. It's just the brain pattern recorder inside a briefcase.
It is true. And thank you for the specifics. See, this is what you're getting a book for, folks. This is the information you need. And then a final true or false question. Not all of these questions are going to be true or false, just this particular round. Joe's WIM badge is a secret container for anti-radiation pills. True or false?
I'm going to go false.
It is false. I came up with that idea myself. What do you think?
I could just imagine Jamie. Jamie's obsessed with mints. Like you can tell by the anti-radiation pills, and I'm sure we're going to get oxygen pills at some point. But I can just imagine him trying to stuff them into the back of Joe's badge.
Get in there! Get in there!
Love it. Watson thinks they're full of Smarties.
Well, only Smarties have the answer.
I think that's a good little alternative there. All right, at the end of that round, Chris, you got all 3 questions right. You have 3 points. Woo! Next up, AC, choose a category.
Oh, good grief. Okay.
You can't have equipment.
Okay, I'm equipmentless. I'll go for episodes.
Episodes. Alrighty. This is multiple choice, so you're very lucky there. Which of these episodes features Joe using 2 brain patterns at once? Is it A, Colonel McLean, B, Hijacked, or C, International Concerto?
Can I show my working out loud?
Definitely show your working out loud.
Right. International Concerto, I'm reasonably certain he only has 1, because he's only got Sladek's brain pattern. Presumably.
Okay.
Hijacked, he has only got the brain pattern of a Win agent, and he's gone in to get Coletti in that infamous scene. Colonel McLean, he has the brain pattern of a military general, but possibly also got the brain pattern of a heavy goods vehicle driver. Oh, see, I'm already struggling. This is not going to be as simple as I thought it was. You know what? I'm going to say A. I'm going to say Colonel McLean. And you're going to embarrass me now.
It is A. Congratulations, you get a point.
In the opening, they're actually testing it because it's the first time they've done it.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah, so as you say, it's between... Yeah, I think the brain pattern is a heavy goods driver and...
An explosive expert.
Explosives expert.
There we go.
Between the 3 of us, we got that figured out. All right, next question. Which of these episodes was a real mission for Joe and not a dream? Was it A, the race, B, King for a Day, or C, Lone-Handed 90?
That is King for a Day. The race was a shared dream with his father, which has all kinds of weird implications that we're not going to go into. And Lone-Handed 90 was a dream he had while he fell asleep in front of the TV. So that didn't even have anything to do with his special glasses. So the answer is B.
It is indeed. It is B, King for a Day. I thought that might be a little red herring there. I can imagine a kid going to sleep and dreaming about being king. But no, it really happened. Alrighty. Next question. Which of these episodes was originally titled Think of a Number? Was it A, Double Agent, B, Mission X41, or C, Three's a Crowd?
I can guess this one. It's based on a line of dialogue that Joe says, and I think it's Three's a Cried because it's the bit where he's got Miss Davis, is that her name? Professor McLean's new lady. And he's trying to prove that he can read her mind and that he knows that she's an enemy agent and everything. And he just does the whole think of a number thing. And she says, what? And he says, 6 or 5, possibly. I'm not sure what the number is. That's not the question. So I'm going to go C.
It is C. 3's a crowd. Well done. Yes, I couldn't, to be honest, tell you what number it is. And yeah, awful bingo number, of course. Well done there. So there we are. At the end of that round, Andrew has 3 and Chris also has 3. It is neck and neck. Chris, your turn to pick a category.
Let's keep with the strengths. Let's go vehicles.
Vehicles. What do the letters O, G, T stand for?
Orbital.
No multiple choice, no true or false.
Orbital glide transporter.
Orbital glide transport. I will give you that. Because I think it is referred to both ways in the episode. Orbital glide transport. From which episode?
Test flight.
Test flight, that's correct.
Do I get a second point?
You don't get a bonus point for that.
I can't believe this.
I'm enjoying Alex's suggestion of omelette grill template.
Oh, I want an omelette now.
That would be really nice. Yeah. All right. What are the VG-104, the F-116, and the AV-21 all examples of?
Aircraft?
It is aircraft. Correct.
For a second, because the
correct.
AV-21 is the passenger jet, and for a second I was like, is this like a TV-21 reference that I'm completely missing?
That... We had a few suggestions, meaningless abbreviations, fighters. I mean, you know,
on a fun side,
kind of along those lines.
The way that the World Army and Navy sort of mark things is that like it's the U-45, the U-85, and the U-46 and stuff, and it's like those are submarines, vehicles. I think I even stuck a U-22 on the side of the hovercraft just to be kind of like it's a thing.
Oh, so there was an actual logic to that.
Yeah.
I did not know that actually. That wasn't my area of the book, so
that's how I know that the Warthog is sort of a successor to the Wildcat because it's one number up.
Okay.
On the IMI book, on the IMI model, that is.
Alrighty. And finally, in flight, what is the maximum airspeed of Max jet air car?
It's 400 and something kilometers an hour. It's like 460 around there. Is
that your final answer?
Let's go for 460 kilometers an hour.
482 kilometers an hour. I think that's a simple factor of conversion rates letting you down there, but unfortunately I cannot give you a point for that. So at the end of that round, Chris, you now have 5 points in total. AC, you have 3. Which category would you like, sir?
I would like to go for villains, please.
Villains. Okay. This is going to give you some quotes to identify. So, name the villain who gave the order, take the boy home.
That was Mario Coletti in the episode Hijacked, Take the Boy Home.
That is correct. Are we going to get an impression for every single one of these? That would be fantastic.
Depending on how I'm feeling.
Do it.
All right. Next up, name the villain who pondered how that Western with those imbecilic puns ever attained his position in world intelligence is beyond me.
I know who it is, but I don't know his name. I'm gonna think about this for a bit. It's the main villain from Project 90. And I have this really strong feeling that his name may be Kramer, but I'm gonna hold it for a second, just like how that Western with those imbecilic puns ever obtained his position in world intelligence is beyond me. Oh.
If anybody in the chat wants to contribute more suggestions that will not help AC out.
Is it? Or is it?
I love which is Jamie.
Schroeder, Kramer. Oh gosh, this is embarrassing.
Because he says the name of his subordinate a few times.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm just getting flashbacks of Shane Weston's witty retort to him at the end. About why. No, I'm not going to say it in case it's another question. I'm just going to say Kramer, and it's not right.
The answer is Dr. Conrad Dorota, I'm afraid.
The Dorota
No
Clinic
points there.
Yeah.
Yep, the Dorota Clinic in the episode Project 90. You had the episode, but sadly not the correct name. I believe that puppet was probably at some point used to play a character called Kramer.
That's probably
that has the ring of truth about it.
That might
Just
have
a
been
few more suggestions. We've got Lady Penelope, Torchy, and Bagpuss. So, all very helpful comments there coming from the chat. Thank you very much. So finally, name the villain who said to their employee, "Don't look so worried, have a jelly baby."
That, thank goodness, I know what that one is.
Yeah.
That is Mr. Clayton in the episode See You Down There after he's had his Scrooge-esque change of heart.
It is Mr. Clayton from See You Down There, Ralph Clayton. Yes, he goes through his very Christmas Carol style revelation that he should try and be nice to people, and so he offers up a jelly baby. Again, loving all of those.
I can imagine number 6 giving somebody a jelly baby.
Oh, he'd be furious about doing it, but
have the jelly baby.
Yeah,
take it.
Alrighty, at the end of that round, it is still 5-all. Still on a tie here. One of you's got to pull ahead at some point. This is the final category pick for you, Chris.
I'm going to go with... Oh, this is...
It's behind the scenes or heroes.
I'm going to go with heroes. This is a risk, but...
Alrighty. What is the occupation of Sam Loover's father?
He's a geologist.
Willie Loover? A geologist. Willie Loover. Yes, the episode is...
Oh.
I got you. AC knows.
Relative danger.
Well played.
It is relative danger. Well done. Well done. Owner of Loover's Hoovers.
Well, they suck.
Very, very good. Thank you, Willow, for joining us. We will see you again, I'm sure, in the next stream. Alrighty, next question. What color is Professor McClane's dressing gown?
It's like
as seen in... I was going to say, as seen in most Special Agent and in Project 90.
It's like navy, isn't it?
Okay. It's blue. I would argue it's not quite as dark as navy, but you went for blue, so I'll give you that one. I'll give you the point for that. I'm feeling generous.
Okay.
Final question. What is Mrs. Harris's first name?
Oh. It's like Edna or something, isn't it?
Is that your final answer?
Let's go with that. I think it's wrong, but...
It's Ada. You were so close. You were so close.
I made the point
Other
of getting
suggestions
in there
were Anita, Paris, Bomber.
I made the point of making sure it got in because it's like she's the only recurring female character. I feel bad for forgetting it.
Yeah,
I do like the idea that Bomber Harris is strolling around the Joe 90 universe somewhere, though.
Perfect.
Bomber Harris, what are you doing here?
My housekeeper, Bomber Harris.
All right. Your final category, AC. Unfortunately, you don't get a choice on this one. It is behind the scenes.
Okay.
First question. Which Thunderbirds voice artist wrote 6 episodes of Joe 90?
That was the legendary and much missed Shane Rimmer.
It was indeed Mr. Shane Rimmer, Scott Tracy himself.
Many of them involved Canada.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. Name any 3 members of the Joe 90 cast who went on to appear in the live-action series UFO.
Keith Alexander went on to play Lieutenant Keith Ford. David Healy went on to play Joe Franklin and Gary Files went on. No, wait, hang on. Just double checking this. Gary Files is definitely in Joe 90. Yes, Gary Files went on to play Bill Wade or Phil Wade. I can never quite remember his first name. But before I say anything else, let me just check there's nothing else more obvious than that.
You've got it right.
I will say it's any three.
I know. I'm a bit shaky on that one, but is there anyone else more obvious? Probably. My brain's just blank. Oh well, Jeremy Wilkin, of course, went on to play Gordon Maxwell in UFO. Yeah, I'll go for that. Final answer.
All right. So what three are you going to go for?
So I'm going to Keith Alexander, David Healy, and Jeremy Wilkin.
Keith Alexander, Gary Files, David Healy, Shane Rimmer, Jeremy Wilkin. You could have had any of those, and you got three of them. So congratulations, you do get a point.
And we're now tied.
It's great to have Shane Rimmer again. Yes, you are now tied. So AC, if you get this question correct, you will win. If you not, get it wrong, I do have a tiebreak question.
Cool.
So, which earlier Anderson series was originally conceived as starring another character called Joe 90?
Do you know, this is the weirdest thing. I thought about this earlier today. And I don't know why. It suddenly occurred to me this was a thing. I know the other series that featured a character called Joe 90, so I'm just going to say that one and hope it's right. Was it Fireball XL5, aka Lieutenant Joseph 90?
It was Fireball XL5. Yes.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. Well played.
The next book is
very nicely done.
You can do all the illustrations
at the end of that, just to show you the scores, Chris with 7, AC just at the very end there, getting in with 8 points. Congratulations, you win.
Well done.
Nothing.
I win your respect.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Alrighty. Yeah. Well, congratulations, very well done. And thank you everyone in the chat for playing along as well. I hope everyone did well. Let us know how many questions you got right or wrong during that quiz, because I have a feeling that we have a lot of Joe 90 experts in the chat watching along with us. It would be great to know how well you did, because this Joe 90 book is full of facts. Chris, how do you feel about how those questions were going in your favor? And then
I thought they were fine. I was worried. I envisioned a thing where I got one right. So honestly, I think if I've been able to I know I got it wrong, but I appreciate I was close to the jet air car's airspeed.
You were very close.
I would have given you the point, to be honest.
But yeah, I don't know. Like Jack is.
We can't do with just being close enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think. I mean,
failed.
It was Mrs. Harris's first name that really let you down there.
Yeah, Parada.
I kind of want to know what the tiebreaker question was.
Yeah, go for it.
The tiebreaker question, if you want to have a go, you would have gotten the point. Whoever could guess the closest to the date that the episode Project 90 was first broadcast in the UK. Whoever could get the closest to that date.
I'm gonna take
it was broadcast early in the series. Yes, what's your guess?
Well, you say early in the series, but now I'm just going to say July 10th, 1968.
I have a weird feeling it's like 26th of March.
It is the 13th of October, 1968. AC, okay. Joe 90 hadn't even started broadcasting until September.
Well, what do I know about Joe 90?
You were well out. Anyway, whoever got closest to that would have got it. So I think actually, AC, you would have been closer. So you would have still won anyway. So it's all academic. Anyway, with that, we are going to take a little break. We've got some fun little treats for everybody to watch, including some just some little surprises. So we will be right back after these messages.
Joe 90 to Sam Luber. Mission successful and returning to base. Will you have some Kellogg's Sugar Smacks ready for me, Sam?
Sure thing, Joe. You've earned them. You're one of us now, and the entire World Intelligence Network relies on Sugar Smacks for breakfast. It isn't just that we like them. Those honey-sweet puffs of wheat give WIN agents the energy they need. Right, Joe?
Right, Sam. Kellogg's Sugar Smacks are smashing.
Futuristic stuff, too. The AGM company also makes the ingenious space vehicles for TV's Thunderbird series and other puppetry adventures. Real working models which can fly between planets and dive below the sea. Well, on film anyway. Looking at them on the factory bench, you'd hardly believe it. But then, it isn't only model makers who can practice a little bit of innocent deception. Just goes to prove that these days, seeing isn't believing.
Joe, we must destroy the control center and the mastermind responsible. Zoom is ready.
I'll try, Uncle Sam.
We have less than 15 seconds to save London, and perhaps the world.
I found the hidden laboratory. Launch Lion's-made Zoom immediately.
Well done, Joe.
Well done, Zoom.
Zoom. Only sixpence from Lion's Made.
A few seconds in the mysterious brain converter, and an ordinary boy becomes the world's greatest super agent. Eject it well. When the safety of the world is threatened, when defeat seems certain, there's only one person to call.
It's trouble. Big trouble. It looks like a job for Joe 90.
I'm approaching the Russian border. My instruments tell me that I've got 3 MiG-242s on my tail.
When the situation spells danger, when the odds are impossible,
They're throwing everything they've got at me.
Joe 90 turns defeat into victory.
Get out of it fast.
Not till I get what I came for.
He destroys the enemy with their own secrets.
Now.
He's Joe 90, the most super agent of them all. The amazing adventures of Joe 90.
Now listen carefully, Joe. We have the recorded brain pattern of one of my best agents. Your father's going to transfer all this knowledge and experience to you.
I understand, Uncle Sam.
All right, Joe. You know what to do. Just relax. Relax completely.
Anything Can Happen, Audio Annual 2022, read by Nicholas Briggs and Wayne Forrester. Joe 90, The Cracksman. With Joe in the lead, the prisoners moved towards the main gate. It was just then that the guards arrived. Like black avenging angels, they dropped from the darkness of the prison walls upon the unsuspecting prisoners below. Long wooden truncheons flashed in the moonlight, and heads cracked as the weapons met their mark. One of the first to go under the torrent of blows was Joe himself.
What's the latest offer with Kellogg's Sugar Smacks, Sam?
Well, Joe, free in every packet there's one of these WIN badges. The Joe 90 symbol, WIN emblem, Joe 90, Mac and Sam. Collect all 6. Look for this special packet of Sugar Smacks. Those honey-sweet puffs of wheat that give WIN agents the energy they need. Right, Joe?
Right, Sam. Kellogg's Sugar Smacks are smashing.
Does anybody have a sudden craving for cereal?
Yeah, really, really feeling some of that breakfast cereal, or perhaps an ice lolly of some kind. That would go down really well.
When the situation spells danger.
You just can't get much better than that, can you? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this very special, most special Joe 90 launch party, where we are talking all about the Project 90 manual, which launched today. It is now shipping from the Gerry Anderson store. You can pick up your copy right now, and it will ship to you very, very shortly. I also just want to mention the because I'm based in the US. I wanted to mention international shipping from the Gerry Anderson store, because it's recently become much more affordable to be a Gerry Anderson fan living outside of the UK, because the Gerry Anderson store has recently introduced $8 flat rate shipping for any orders under about $80. It will vary depending on what region you're in, and then any order over about $80 is free. So make sure there has never been a better time to be a Gerry Anderson fan living outside of the UK. I just wanted to bring that up because it's something that maybe gets forgotten about a little bit. But yes, we are very excited to see that so many of you are joining us, and that so many of you have already gotten your copy of the Joe 90 manual. It's been great to see all the pictures coming in of people's books now in their hands. So thank you very much for sharing those. What are we going to get up to next, guys? We are going to take a close look inside the Project 90 manual. We are going to go through some of the pages, some of the contents of the book, and just talk you through kind of what went into it, what myself and Chris were kind of thinking when we were putting this together, and hopefully we'll be able to provide some good insights for you. So let me just bring up some of those images for us, and we're going to start by taking a look at the contents page. Chris, are you able to talk us through a little bit of just how you decided to go about dividing up the book into these sections?
Well, it kind of started with doing Joe 90 was somewhat unexpected. I had an idea. Not unexpected. I pitched it, obviously, but the fact that we would actually say yes, Jamie would say yes to it. But so we couldn't really do a WIN manual because it wouldn't really fit. It had to be about Project 90 itself, which is sponsored by, but not actually part of WIN. It just kind of uses all their equipment. So it had to have a different focus. Usually we we'll do a manual on Shadow, where the vehicles and things would come first, and then the characters would sort of be ancillary to that. But in this instance, and because Joe 90 is so character-led, the key personnel sort of front and center. There's a brief intro to what WIN is, but the key, and there's obviously an introduction with Shane Weston, which sort of frames the angle that the book takes, because it's not really for agents. It's for it's a handover document that can be used if anything happens to Shane Weston. It kind of had to be structured in that sort of way. And obviously the actual equipment that Project 90 has on site is quite limited, because it is just Sam's car, the jet car, and some equipment, and the big rat. So when it came to the vehicles, it had to be structured in what do they have available for a mission if necessary.
Yeah, exactly. I clicked the wrong image there. Yes.
So it's kind of, it's around the characters, then straight to equipment. What is Joe equipped with? And then approved vehicles. What does Joe have access to? And then it's case studies. Here are some elements of why this Project 90 is a good thing. This is several successes where Joe has managed to save lives and sort of industrial situations and things like that. And it means that whoever continues Project 90 has the option of should they continue it, and if so, this is why. And obviously the last one, with all the manuals, we try to kind of give an idea about where the series could go. Obviously, I have no intention of putting like a hard ending on any of these shows, because I don't know if that's necessarily up to me, or like you kind of like to think that they have adventures forever. So, but with the Moonbase manual, we had what like Operation Exodus would look like if they were to arrive on a planet. For Shadow, AC and I offered 2 possible solutions to the various problems in the show, like capturing UFO and how to destroy the aliens in the end. And for this, it's the exit strategy. It's like, if anything was to happen, how do the McClanes sort of, where do they go from here if they decide to like jump out of the project? So it's
kind of all encompassing, really, of just, as you say, it's a great sort of in universe. It's a document handed over, like, this is everything you need in order to run.
This is the top secret side project that we've been running for the last couple of years in this lavishly illustrated book.
Yeah. Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So, of course, to go along with that, we have the biographical details on the key personnel involved. The great thing about this was when I was putting these together, the original writer's guide for the series, which was put together by Shane Rimmer and Tony Barwick, has exhaustive, like really, really packed, detailed biographies for each of the main characters. So whereas I feel like AC in previous manuals, you've had to kind of, bulk up and kind of be quite creative with the biographies for the characters. I have the luxury of lots of information available that I could pick and choose from, basically, and I tried to include everything that I possibly could in here, but honestly, you could have a whole book just talking about the characters in this. It is kind of crazy. AC, was that your kind of experience doing the bios for Space 1999 and for UFO?
Very much so, yes. Both series being extensively hardware orientated rather than character driven. I did have to watch pretty much the entire series in both cases to pick out even the smallest little details for many of the characters in both of those manuals, and as you say, bulk it up a little bit just to give some of the lesser spotted characters some sort of history, and again, something that wasn't going to push the boundaries too much, but stay fairly consistent to the series. And I got to say, probably at this point, that not having worked on the Joe 90 manual at all, it's lovely to be able to come to it as a fan and just sort of see all the amazing hard work that you guys have both put into it. And, if I get a little bit distracted during the stream, it's purely because I'm just looking at it here and go, oh, that's interesting. I like that. Just like, if you ask me questions, AC, what? Yep, nice pictures and things. Yes.
Oh,
plenty
good.
Plenty of interesting descriptions.
Well, we're very glad that you're enjoying it. That's for sure. But I was very, very lucky when it came to these character biographies that so much information was just available for me that sadly didn't make it into the show itself, really. But
it's the same with the history of WIN. Like, it made it into the annuals, and there's like huge pages of text on the annuals about where WIN came from, and none of it's in the show. Like, who's Thor Jurgens?
Yeah, exactly. Lots and lots of information there that we were able to work from. One thing that, Chris, you had to work out for yourself was, how the heck does the big rat work? Lots and lots of detail on that.
So people might remember the Joe 90 Blu-ray set that Network, RIP, We Stand a Legend, the extra features on that. I was responsible for doing the documentary, the sort of breakdown of WIN, and then a small documentary about how the big rat actually works and the science of Joe 90, of which one reviewer described, I don't know who would watch this, but I don't want to hang out with them. But it did mean that I'd kind of previously done the research. So I had I just kind of watched that again, and then I kind of was just able to sort of fudge it a bit to sort of fill in the blanks a little. Like, one of the key things Well, like, yeah, because the actual original text described the big rat as a series of like projectors and reflectors, and like the actual orange cylinder is the big rat, and everything else is like a different element of it. So once I kind of started working about that, then that sort of made the room make sense. But obviously, the actual science of it needed to make sense. So I kind of touched on the possibility of exploring. So the memory, like your memory, you've got quite a bit of space for your memory in your brain. So the big rat implants its brain pattern onto sort of like a neutral bit that's not connected to anything, which then has to be stimulated by the electrodes, which are either in the chair or in the glasses. And that meant that I had stuff to write about the glasses because it's surprisingly hard to write a double-page spread on a pair of spectacles, even if they are Joe's special glasses. But
you've done it, and it's all information that when I was going through and reading your kind of first draft of this, I was amazed that you had managed to come up with something that made sense within the context of the show for how these glasses actually work. Like you really nailed it, I think. It makes perfect sense when you read it with the kind of slightly warped, slightly creative science that goes into the series. Obviously, I think it's just 100% faithful to the original show. It is great, in my opinion.
I think of all the supermarination kind of logic puzzles, I think the big rat was always going to be like the hardest one, except maybe one other, which we'll get to.
Alrighty. Well, I also want to show off the jet air car, just because I think it's a vehicle that is greatly underappreciated in fandom as a whole. I appreciate the design, having gone through the original writer's guide, which is very, very clear in its specifications that it is designed by Professor McLean more for function than it is for aesthetics. It is, and so when Derek Meddings designed the vehicle, he was coming at it from the viewpoint of a very character-driven viewpoint that perhaps maybe he hadn't had to do before. So it's great that even then there is a logic to it.
How I like to think about the jet air car is that if supercar is what they started with, and it's a very sort of science-based but a fantasy somewhat inspired series where everything's very like rocket punk, and then you go all the way to Joe 90, which is verging on a hard science series. It's supercar again, but with everything that they've learned in between, is how I kind of looked at it. So all the sort of bits of like, it can float, I've written a thing in there, but he's trying to devise a way for it to be able to submerge. But it's a really interesting vehicle. Like, and it's not necessarily the nicest looking design. I do think it looks quite good as a boat. You never got to see it sail in the original series, which is why I made a point of doing the image there. But it's definitely an interesting design that has somewhat stood the test of time.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And I adore the fact that the detail that you go into, is so extensive that you have even labeled what controls do inside the cab. Like, if you wanted to drive or fly this thing, if you read this manual, you could have a go.
Well, that's kind of, again, going back to earlier manuals. I remember it was towards the end of the Space 1999 one, and we did the a questionnaire about what people wanted to see it. And the biggest response was, how do you fly an eagle? So I remember having to extrapolate
that's a fair question.
Yeah, I remember having to extrapolate that from how do you fly something that it's got a reaction control system with a steering column.
Yeah,
which is good fun, but we worked it out in the end. So
I love it. I love that the creative process of this is a lot of problem solving. It's just, okay, let's try and tie all these things together and explain how it all works in a reasonable way.
Just another shout out to Amazing 16 with it's a bit hard to see in the illustration there, but how they do every single time we do the schematics, we do them slightly differently. And in this instance, he's kind of Marcus has laid them out like actual pieces of paper, like in the later bits. And I do kind of enjoy like how rough it looks. Like you can see sort of fold marks and coffee stains on these, but it makes them feel a little bit more real, which I really appreciate.
Yes. Yeah, I was definitely thinking the same thing. It's great how it just feels so authentic that way. It is fantastic. A couple of more vehicles I just wanted to show off. The A14, which I think we talked about a little bit earlier on. It just, the fact that you were able to go into so much depth about a vehicle that only appeared once in the whole show.
Twice, because it turns up as the rocket attack vehicle in Attack of the Tiger, which we were able to write into lore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's perfect that you have that. Again, that level of detail to go into.
One of the things when it comes to, I think, some of the vehicles in Joe 90 is that we sort of, during UFO, I struggled a bit because all the vehicles are essentially Shadow needed a spacecraft, so they designed this, or they needed a tank, so they designed this. With Joe 90, all these things have their individual histories and how they all came to be and why the World Army would need something like the A-14. But then you can extrapolate whenever they reuse the model in Attack of the Tiger that the Eastern Alliance have taken the remains of Joe's A-14 and reverse engineered it and have now tried to make their rather terrible own version, which doesn't work. So it's now an AA gun in like guarding bases and stuff. And like that kind of stuff is really fun because then you can connect the dots.
Yeah. Exactly. And I imagine sort of similar work going into the Orbital Transfer Company's rocket here. Again, you see it in most Special Astronaut, but you have to consider, okay, there's a whole space program going on here that is, the details of which we get a bit of in the episode itself, but it's fun to go into the whole thing, really. It's great to have that opportunity.
Joe 90 didn't really deal much with space, which we're going to get into a bit later, but this was interesting because it's like this is just a freighter rocket. Like there's clearly some sort of expanded space program going on, and this is not the nice rocket. Like the moon rocket is probably something exciting over somewhere. This is like a workhorse kind of thing that they have loads of. So it was good fun to read about.
Yeah. And I should say, these are just a few of the pages that we're showing off here. Like there is so much more packed into this book than what we're able to kind of get through in this one stream. So yeah, definitely important that you pick it up in order to see the full extent of all the work that's got into it. I just want to kind of talk through kind of the section that I was primarily focused on, which was the case studies. These are mission profiles that you can imagine, as Chris was saying earlier, you pull these files out of a filing cabinet in WIN records somewhere, and it has all the information about certain episodes that took place. And rather than just being an episode guide, I really wanted to kind of look at it from the perspective of how did this mission affect Project 90 and WIN and the people involved. So yes, it's a summary of the show, but also it just expands on some of those details a little bit more by going into some of the really specific things that happen. We have, the brain pattern specifications in there. You can imagine that in the tape library of the Big Rat, you've got these little index cards as well that just summarize what's going on with each of the tapes.
On a sort of a side note as well, all the brain pattern specifications for characters that we didn't necessarily have access to, there was like a folder in ITV's archives, which is just sort of puppet beauty shots. They're all sort of for guest puppets. There's none for the sort of hero characters. They're just a selection of rather nice images of guest characters. I think mostly from Scarlet. Luckily that happened to be Agent Johnson's puppet, but I think it is from his original appearance in Scarlet. But I ended up going through and colorizing them all for this just to make it a bit more interesting. So they're originally black and white as well, which will be helpful later.
And they do look They do look beautiful. I'm fairly sure like Century 21 had a sort of casting directory of puppets that had all of these kind of photos in them. So something that, public would never see, but we've been able to tap into that resource and put it into this manual, which is great. It's great that we have all of this material available and that we're able to put it out there. I just want to show you the next page, which is again more information on the episode Hijacked. We have the villain profile, which as Chris mentioned earlier is kind of an opportunity that I had to be probably the most creative out of everything in the book, because the characters appear and they're very memorable in the episodes, but we don't get any backstory behind them. And so I really wanted to go into how these criminal masterminds come up with their evil schemes. And Mario Coletti has a lot of assets behind him, so I wanted to talk about how did all this come about. So his entire kind of criminal background there is gone into, as well as of course the layout of his base, which again is a fantastic kind of revelation in the show itself, that he has all this stuff underground. And Chris was very good at putting all of that information together, as well as showing us bits that we didn't see, like he has a helijet pad in the base, and Chris has been able to add that in there. So I think that looks fantastic, if I say so myself.
It's because they have that lookout helicopter, and I figured I had to park it somewhere. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, and then again, as you mentioned, not a lot of space travel in Joe 90. So what myself and Chris had the luxury of being able to do was to each come up with our own missions for Joe to go on. So a little bit of a couple of original stories in there. Mine was about a runaway train, because I enjoy trains. It was an opportunity to expand on the monorail that was seen in the episode Breakout. But I really wanted to focus on Chris's story, Murder on the Moon. Chris, how did this come about?
Well, because we had talked previously that we like to have, we like to expand these shows in some way, and I thought a really nice way of doing that in this one is to let's give Joe 2 more missions. So we kind of went in 2 different directions. You kind of went for something a little bit very in keeping with the show, and I was a bit more like, right, where's Joe never been? And he's never been outside of the low Earth orbit. So I figured, right, so what is the space program going on in 2013? And I thought it might be fun to have, it's sort of like a murder mystery, with Joe being sent to the moon secretly in a crate, with the responsibility of hiding within the vents of this moon base to solve a murder. And I just thought that would make a lovely episode. Probably too long for an episode, but I thought
maybe a Joe 90 feature film.
Maybe a graphic novel one day. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
But
how was that? Did you come to appreciate? I know I certainly did. Of the work that goes into even a short Joe 90 story, like the original writers, to get in all the elements of the show that we're all familiar with, to try and come up with a plot that was in keeping with the show, but did something new with it, and just had again all the familiar elements. I know it was harder than I thought it would be actually to write.
For me,
I don't know if that was your experience as well.
For me, it was the trying to imagine this thing was supposed to be 22 minutes. Don't get me wrong, I was not necessarily trying to aim for the 22-minute limit, but Joe 90 episodes, there's 2 of them. There's 2 variants. There's episodes where he's very quickly brought into a situation where he has to improvise along the way with the brain pattern, or there's the episodes where a threat is established. They spend half the episodes preparing to deal with the threat, and then there's an action scene at the end where they attack the threat. Attack of the Tiger being the most obvious example of it's fairly procedural in a way. And with this, it was definitely the former kind of version where I didn't quite know I'd never written a murder mystery before, which was a surprising challenge in itself.
You learn that that's actually quite difficult to do as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're supposed to write them backwards, aren't you?
Agatha Christie.
Yeah, Agatha Chris Thompson-y.
Lovely. And you see, actually, I should just say, like, we're talking about, it's so difficult to come up with original stories that feel in keeping with the Gerry Anderson universe.
Mm-hmm.
AC, you're doing that on a very, very regular basis over on the Gerry Anderson website, and we salute you, sir, because it's a tough job.
But somebody's got to do it
every Friday night.
I mean, what's your process kind of behind all of these amazing stories that you're able to come up with? Just briefly, we're gonna take a turn away from the manuals and talk about the Gerry Anderson website, because there's a lot of amazing content that goes up on there as well, and AC is responsible for a lot of that. How do you come up with all those stories?
It varies from week to week. Sometimes midweek I'll be thinking about a particular series and I'll think, they've never done that before. It might be an idea to go along that direction. Sometimes I will think, what's the biggest possible thing that could happen, and how would a given series handle that? And sometimes I go for much smaller scale things. I think one of my favorite stories that I've done so far was a Thunderbird story, where the entire story is set on Jeff's Fireflash flight from London to New York. And the only thing that he does is basically stop somebody pickpocketing someone else and get somebody's property back to them, all without actually causing a fuss or letting anyone know about it. But to me, just reading it back, a lot of the time I read what I've written and I think, oh gosh, that could have been a lot better. I could have done that differently. I'm quite pleased with that one. And there's other ones.
I remember that one very well. It's like a nice slice of life kind of
slice
story,
of life,
which I think is important.
It's it can't always be high drama. I mean, Scott Tracy and the rest of the guys spend a lot of their time being bored out of their minds playing checkers and things, so that they got to be doing something during their downtime. And other times, I'll bounce ideas off you guys and say, Joe 90, do you think we should accuse him of being a bank robber? Does that sound like something that could happen? It's maybe all gone wrong. He doesn't remember it. I think pressure is a key motivator for me, because I will invariably leave it up until the Thursday evening, the night before the story is due, and think, there's a story due tomorrow. I should probably think about writing that. Okay, look through my image library. What could I potentially turn into a story? Okay, well, there's an airplane that looks reasonably interesting. Let's change it slightly and say, okay, it's now this kind of airplane. Let's say that it's involved with the Wasp somehow, and then just there we go. That's a story, and send it over. Is there anything objectively wrong with this story? And Jack will come back and say, yes, the story is fine, but you need to spell correct these 4 things. And Chris will come back and say, That's cool. I was like, great. That's my two checks done. Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool, bro. Cool story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. As I say, I salute you for all the work that goes into those stories, because I'm sure, what you're saying about, it's kind of an 11th hour thing sometimes. We know that was kind of the case on a lot of the, Century 21 series as well. Yeah. Like, the pressure of delivering those stories to such a high standard. Sometimes the scripts needed to be worked on up until the last minute. So it's very in keeping. That pressure definitely, I think, has an impact. Just to finish up our little tour of the book, I wanted to talk about the exit strategy information that Chris, you devised. So what was it like, kind of taking what's in the series and going that one step further and thinking about, how could this end potentially, without actually making it happen?
Yeah, well, it was, I kind of just sort of figured, because at some point, like, the big question around Joe 90 is, like, where's this going? Like, is Joe going to be a secret agent forever? Is he going to have a life? And things like that. So there's, like, 3 key points of, like, well, where could it go if they decide to end? And obviously, if Joe is killed on a mission is dark, but they could just choose to, like, okay, we're just going to move on, do our own thing, and Project 90 will end. Or if what happens if it gets released to the news, that kind of thing. It's just, also potentially interesting story beats that people could pick up on. And obviously a conclusion that sort of rounds out what Shane Weston talks about at the very start. It's a bit more challenging to end than the other two books because obviously UFO is a very definite. In fact, both UFO and Space 1999 have very definite end goals: defeat the aliens or find a home, or get home to Earth. Whereas Joe 90 is like, we'll just keep procedurally going on until, until either Joe leaves or dies or something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that's not to think about sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, anyway, that was our little kind of tour through the whole book. So, again, obviously I'm biased, but I would thoroughly encourage everybody to go and pick up this book as soon as possible from the Gerry Anderson store because, once it's gone, it could be sold out for good. We don't know. So make sure you head along there and check that out. I love Joe 009, Is there a possibility of him once he's a bit older, getting promoted up and, taking on a more
Is Joe 90
visible
a demotion? It's Joe 9 a demotion from Joe 90.
Yeah, he's just fallen down the rungs of the ladder a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a shame. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, next we are going to play a little game. Just to kind of finish up, to getting towards the end of the stream now, but I have a game to play. It's again going to test Chris and AC, and I'm sure our viewers as well are going to want to get involved. The game is called Spin the Big Rat, and it looks a little bit like this. We have two wheels here. And actually, I should start by including a little clip from the episode Talk Down, where, sometimes the brain patterns, they go a little bit wrong.
Magnificent, Joe. That was great, Joe. Return to the airfield and land.
Okay, Sam. Out. Land.
He's coming in too fast, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir. He seems to be losing control just like last time.
What do you mean, just like last time?
Joe 90 to base. I do not know the landing procedure. Repeat, I do not know the landing procedure.
Now, don't worry, Joe. Take her up to 10,000 feet and maintain safe cruise airspeed. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Understood, Sam.
What's this about Joe not being able to land?
Now, calm down, Mac.
Who are you? How did you get past security? Never mind that. What's going on up here?
Mac, just...
So someone better tell.
Do you realize this is the maximum security control building? Come on, Mac. Just take it easy a moment.
Don't try and shut me up. I've got a perfect right.
Gentlemen, I think you know something. You'd better tell us.
That phone call. It was from the hospital. Grant had a mental blackout during his last test flight.
What?
Jolly good, isn't it?
Sometimes things don't always go to plan, and sometimes they end up with maybe not the best brain pattern for the job. So what I've done here is I've come up with a little game where I'm going to ask Chris and AC to try and match a randomly selected brain pattern with a randomly selected mission, and I want to see whether they think that Joe 90 could carry out this mission with that brain pattern. You're going to be working together, guys, in coming up with some of these solutions. So, are you guys ready for us to spin the big rat?
As I'll ever be.
Alrighty, here we go.
As a 3 modeler, I'm getting a lot of appreciation for the 2 red bits that are together.
Beautiful. All right. Your first one that you have to come up with is Joe has been given the brain pattern of a neurosurgeon, and his mission is to disrupt the production of a potent new street drug that's funding criminal organizations. How would Joe, with the brain pattern of a neurosurgeon, stop a potent new street drug that's funding criminal organizations? AC, any thoughts on that?
Yes, immediately. I have a working theory that's newly formed that the head of this criminal organization has quite conveniently recently been scheduled for some neurosurgery. And Wynn find out about this, and Joe is dispatched to clandestinely provide the surgery. But in doing so, they alter the guy's brain very slightly that makes him decide, hang on a second, drugs are bad and we don't want any more of these. And then he goes back to his cohorts and says, why can we all not do something cool like country music or teddy bears? And that's that. I mean, it would be a very boring episode, but that's how I would do it.
Chris, anything to add to that?
In my head, Joe starts a Dr. Oz style talk show where he's like a child that's also a neurosurgeon that gives people advice on medical things, and he just disses it. He's like, I wouldn't want that drug. No, don't do drugs, kids.
Okay. Well, I'm not convinced it's going to be entirely successful taking either of those approaches, but nevertheless, we have to work with what we're given. So I'm going to spin the wheel again.
Spinning is so much better than not spinning.
All right. Now Joe has the brain pattern of an ambassador, and he has to extract a journalist who uncovered evidence of government corruption and is now in danger. I feel like this brain pattern maybe fits a little bit better. What do you guys think?
It does feel 9. I can kind of imagine Joe rocking up to an embassy and being like, right, here's my folder. Here's how we're going to diplomacy out of this. And the security guard being like, a 9-year-old boy? Might go against him a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he could be an ambassador or as the kid of an ambassador, still an ambassador, I guess. See, there's some diplomatic immunity there. He could probably, use that to wangle the journalist out of whatever fix they've got into.
Or he could advise the actual ambassador.
Yes.
So they've got an ambassador that maybe is just not up to task, but they're the only person that the criminal organization will deal with, or the government corruption agency will deal with as a plan. And so Joe's kind of feeding this guy information while also posing as his kid.
Yeah, that works. Can we also guarantee that the ambassador himself will be played by Joss Ackland? Because otherwise there's no justice in the world.
Fair enough. We might be able to make that happen. Well, very good. I think actually you covered that very, very nicely. Well done. Are we ready for another?
Did I earn some sugar smacks for that?
You are one of us now, and we eat sugar smacks for breakfast.
Next up, Joe 90 has been given the brain pattern of a social media manager, and he has to extract an undercover operative trapped behind enemy lines.
So first of all, we raise awareness on Instagram. He's shooting a documentary on the prison that the person's getting held in, and that they're in. And then I don't know, and then the second part of the plan that AC is going to give us will be
Joe died on the way to the village hall. Sorry, that's a little inside joke there. Anytime a situation is basically inescapable or impossible, we just say the name of the character died on their way to the village hall. Yes. I don't think Joe's getting out of this one, not as a social media manager.
I don't know. Those social media managers can be quite tricksy.
Yeah,
they're very smart people.
Somehow get in there. I like Chris's idea that for some inexplicable reason, the prison has allowed TikTok stars to come in and shoot a documentary about the place. Maybe there's some kind of paid sponsorship deal going on there.
I know what happened.
Prison
it was,
and, we'll give you.
It was in a different country. There was a language barrier, so when they ordered TikTok, they thought they were getting clocks.
Of course, yes, that's exactly what happened.
Momentary shout out to our social media team.
Does not think it's going to go well.
Like,
yeah,
shout
our
out to
social
our
media team.
Yeah, so like Joe, Ben, Chris, and all, just like, because I'm sure they could get an undercover operative out trapped behind enemy lines out.
I think Ben would probably just
I
rush
don't
in
doubt
himself
that.
and get the guy out.
You know, Ben would be full on ninja. We stand
Yeah, he
Ben.
would. Like, if Ben's going in there, we can just sit back and relax.
Shouldn't have commented, Ben, if you didn't want to be involved.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ben, for joining in. Okay, right. Well, I think I think we've got a good game. You know,
I think
here
we've saved
that
3 guys. Yeah.
will, I'm sure, be played for years to come. And you know, AC, if you ever need to generate plots for your next story, I'm sure you will come along here and spin the wheel a couple of times.
Yeah, I think you've saved
Right?
me massive amounts of time and effort there, so thank you very much, sir.
Perfect. All right. Well, there we go. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Lovely to see everyone suggesting in the chat how they would go about it. Leaks on social media that the operative has escaped. Everyone believes what they read on social media, so he walks out while they are off looking for him. Yeah.
Well done, Dodge. Yeah.
There you go.
That works.
Yeah, not bad at all. Andrew says, I could do it. Social media manager organizing a world's most deadly prison and then manages to sneak the prisoner out. Yeah, there you go. So it's possible. And it just kind of goes to show that Joe 90 really is capable of anything. You know, what a cool guy. What a cool guy. Matt wants this to go. Yes, it just occurred to me the similarity between this and the Plot of Peril segment on the podcast. R.I.P.
Yeah, I was going to say the last.
I personally would love to see that come back.
Yeah, the last thing which we submitted to the box, suggested to the podcast, which was Plot of Peril, didn't last that long because I think it was quite.
It was more convoluted than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, don't blame Richard for that. That genuinely was our suggestion to him as a segment. And funnily enough, we were never asked again to submit ideas. So, we're coming to the end of our little party now, I'm sad to say. So I have to, of course, give a final little plug for the manual. If you have not already ordered your copy of the Joe 90 technical manual, please do head over to the Gerry Anderson store where you can pick it up. And as you can see, it's being beautifully modeled by the two gentlemen over there. Yes, it is very, very nice. And it is available now. It is shipping now.
Beside the other ones.
It looks great with the other ones as well. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Yes, so if you have not picked up your copy yet, head over to the Gerry Anderson store and do that. But we also have a little surprise, don't we? Just a little tease of what might be coming next from this range of books. I'm going to hand over to Chris and AC to talk about what's coming next.
So
just say when you want the artwork to come up on the screen.
So at the start of the year, we were trying to work out what to do because there was no, we have a plan of what books we want to do. And obviously it's like Stingray, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, etc. But we sort of ended up in a gap in the schedule. So what I suggested, not anticipating it would be a yes, would be, can we do like 2 slimline books on the lesser shows, one of which being Joe 90 and the other one, which celebrating its anniversary this year, Fireball XL5. So we've made a start. We don't have a cover yet, and we've not really got to the assembly stage, but we have started a Fireball XL5 manual in the year of our Lord 2023. So I am mega excited about this because the Fireball XL5 universe is it's been an interesting universe to try and work out. I alluded earlier to the other technical quandary that's not the big rat, and it's oxygen pills, which we've had to come up with a solution for. But it's been such a surprising, sort of a jarring change of tone from going from UFO, Joe 90, and Space 1999, which is like a hard sci-fi series, to Fireball XL5, which is a soft sci-fi series where people walk in space and eat oxygen pills and things like that. And and like but it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed sort of exploring the retro angle of the universe. And as you can see, we're going to be showing you a little bit more in an image later. But for now, you can kind of see how we've incorporated elements of the show and then also the comics, because I grew up with the comics as well. AC, do you want to talk about your bits?
I actually couldn't be happier to have been working on XL5. In fact, I think to begin with, we knew that we weren't going to be able to have both of us working on both manuals, and that's when the natural choice was to bring Jack into it. And we had a discussion about how we wanted to divvy up who was doing what. And obviously, you were going to have the hefty task of doing all the artwork for both manuals and a fair bit of the writing too. And I think it just fell quite naturally that that Jack really preferred Joe 90 as a series and was generally more familiar with it, but also had an extreme fondness for it. And I was easy either way. I didn't mind which one. So I said, I'm happy to work on Fireball, which gave me a great excuse to go back and rewatch Fireball, which I hadn't seen in its entirety in years. And I'd just forgotten how brilliantly quirky and wonderful and nonsensical and completely watchable that it is.
Mm.
It's insanity, but sort of in a brilliantly specifically Anderson kind of way. So you've got Supercar, which is more or less played straight, except for the fact that Supercar can do anything the plot needs it to. But otherwise, it is very much, this is plausible and written exactly the way it should be. And then Stingray on the other side of Fireball is, okay, it's an underwater adventure series. Again, it's futuristic, but it's got the sort of tropes you would associate with various types of sci-fi. But then right in the middle,
and then but still sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. And then smack in the middle of the two, everyone obviously decided, let's just throw all the ideas onto the table. It doesn't matter if they make sense or not. It's going to be fun. And that's kind of exactly what I had writing it, because there's a lot of things going on, as Chris mentioned too already. There's some questions that need to be addressed, but similar to previous manuals, there have been a lot of things that we've had to take a good look at the series and think, oh, okay, this is what we have. How does that function? Why does it function? Also, there's a lot of other possibilities that aren't explored in the series that kind of need to be addressed. It's the sort of questions that people will ask about in the manual. And I've just had an absolute blast going through it and seeing it evolve. And it's also, as I alluded to earlier as well, it's been really nice not to be involved with the Joe 90 manual at all, because it means I can come to that completely fresh and just enjoy it and say, hey, I don't have to worry about anything in this. This is fantastic. This is an amazing project. I'm really enjoying reading it. And it's been lovely to have the opportunity to work on XL5 as well. But this is a Joe 90 stream, and the work that you guys have both done has just been amazing. I only literally got this through the post tonight, so I'm probably going to have a full-on weekend going through this in great depth and enjoying it. And you should both be very proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I have one more little thing for the Fireball XL5 fans. This is kind of brings everything together, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a thing. I kind of just put this together on a whim, so it's very rough, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to... This is 4 books worth of vehicles, all roughly in scale to each other, just kind of lined up. And I thought it was just a nice way to be like, right, this is how far we've, as a group, we've come. I'm looking forward to being able to fill this out even further, because everybody knows I have the, as people might know on the store, I have the original size chart, but it's all flat rendered and kind of sort of hard to necessarily recognize stuff. Whereas in this instance, seeing as I'm slowly modeling everything in these shows, it's quite fun to see them all lined up beside each other. It's fun seeing the Mayflower 3 and a Hawk together and how they correspond. But yeah, so I don't know, that was just a little thing I kind of put together for fun, just because it's a milestone. People talking about when's it coming out.
Yes.
So I don't want to put anything in stone, but vaguely December, I think, is whenever we're aiming to. But again, we're not in production phase yet.
More details to follow. Yes.
Yeah.
AC and Chris are still putting putting the first draft together, basically. The ink's still drying on that. So
but this just felt like a good opportunity to talk about it.
So we wanted to, as a kind of thank you, really, for everyone who's just been following along, because Chris and I have talked a lot about putting this book, the Joe 90 book together, and people seem to be very invested, and I think everyone's comments saying how excited they are for this XL5 manual just kind of goes to show that people are really enjoying this series of books, and we certainly want to continue working on them, and we're glad that everyone is so responsive and enjoys seeing them. So I am glad that we were able to get this little tease out there just to let everyone know that there is more coming, and as you can imagine, we'll be here to talk about it at length in probably another live stream one day. So you guys are going to go back to work on it basically after this stream. I expect you guys to work through the night and get it finished.
100%.
So that, I think I just love Richard's, of course, suggestion for the special edition of the XL5 will come with oxygen pills.
Oh no, like I said, Jamie loves his mints Imperials. We did it for the Moon-based manual. It's probably going to be in this one.
All right, well, that's something to look forward to then, but I'm sure more details of the special edition and everything else, those will come out very, very soon. But for now, everybody, I just have to say a big, big thank you to everyone who has come along to watch this evening. I hope this has been a fun Friday evening for everyone watching. Hope it's been a nice little launch party. We didn't get much dancing in the end, but, what can you do? I love how that's our dance.
This is our dance.
That's as much as we were able to come up with. So I have to say an enormous thank you to everyone.
In the club, so here we are.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, I mean, can you imagine the three of us walking into a club? I mean, it's bad enough when we turn up at a convention together. Everyone clears the room immediately.
We're the three idiots in the corner who's coming up with a new religion based around Torch of the Battery Boy.
Yeah, that kind of thing, definitely. So thanks everyone for watching. Chris, AC, thank you so much for joining me to celebrate this. Chris, very well done, of course, for the release of the book, and AC, thank you so much for joining us to kind of talk about the book as well, as someone who didn't get involved with it, but I am now very excited for Fireball XL5 to, again, just like you were saying, come to it totally fresh, and some of the things I've already seen that you guys have been working on is really, really good. So I think everyone has a lot to look forward to.
But also, thank you, Jack, for setting all this up, and also your contribution as well.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're a wonderful
host. I appreciate it. Gosh, didn't we all do well? Didn't we all do fantastically well?
Aren't we all just wonderful?
Yeah, I know. And of course, thanks to everyone at Anderson Entertainment who promoted the stream, worked behind the scenes to make it happen. Thank you to Jamie Anderson, of course, for allowing the three of us to get together and work on a project like this. It is a dream come true. So thank you very much. And we're going to finish up now by playing, of course, the classic Joe 90 end credits. Wonderful piece of music from Barry Gray, and just really good fun. So thank you everyone, and we will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now, if I hit the right button.